can hear that sound. Something's going down this morning. Our gaming guru, Gareth Woods, joins us in the lounge to tread through some very deep waters in today's game review of Sea of Solitude, released on the PS4. Buddy, that looks quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's kind of like pretty.
It's quite beautiful. So first of all, set the scene for us. What's the narrative here?
Yeah, so I mean, a little bit of context on the game itself, on its production. It's by a company called Jo-Mei Games, but it's been produced by, or published at least by EA. So obviously, small little studio, but then published by one of the giants.
The heavy hitter,
and it's part of their whole thing now of like essentially helping smaller studios get some of the limelight, because they're never going to get noticed otherwise. But as a publishing giant, they can push the game further. From a narrative point of view, it's not a fun game. It's a game it's trying to bring to mention like a lot of like mental health issues. So you play this character's kind of persona, and she's created all these monsters, and a lot of them are like depression or self-doubt, or as you go through the story, it seems like her brother was bullied and she didn't really notice because she was too obsessed with her boyfriend or whatever. Her parents get divorced and she's turned them all into monsters. So like that's the mom there, like as this big sort of like spider octopus type thing, whatever. I'm maybe not doing it justice, but it's one of those like as you play through it, you realize that like
into a different space.
And there's the one monster in particular, self-doubt, there swims underneath and kind of like, I wasn't paying attention, but we'll jump at you and kind of grab you.
Does the gameplay itself stand up? What's the gameplay? What is it?
So the gameplay is like a kind of platformer, sort of like story type game. You're playing it, to be honest, for the feels and for the storyline more than anything else. It's not a particularly like interesting platform or whatever. Let's take the gap here. I don't know if I made it fast enough.
Well, I haven't even played it, and it's got me thinking about what you could do. We're seeing gaming being used in city building, for instance, in dynamic ways. So why should we not be using it in self-examination and psychology and helping us kind of explore the human condition? Because you have to do that anyway. Who is it for then? Yeah,
so it's a little bit, often I say like the themes are adult because, there's violence or gore that the themes are adult more because they quite, it's quite vulnerable in that sense. So, talking about stuff like depression and self-doubt, it's maybe a bit heavy for some people. And so like in that sense, there's actually a big warning when you start the thing going, a lot of these themes are quite exposing for a lot of people, and so if you suffer from any of this stuff, it even says like you might want to speak to professional. This is at the end of the day a game. It's not trying to give advice exactly.
Yeah, for sure. I quite like the fact that first of all, that the big game releases are backing something like this that is very left field, but also that it's using this as a magical way of kind of getting into that space that can be very dark or heavy.
And I think because you are actually playing the character rather than, with a lot of movies, you're just watching the character, and as much as you identify with them, you're not that character.
You're not them.
The classic gaming trope is like when your character dies, you don't go, oh, they died. Like, I died. Yeah. You know that you are attached to this character. You're involved in their kind of like survival and well-being in the game.
It's beautiful, man. I think it's something really refreshing. For something that is fairly dark and heavy, it's a new way of looking at the power
I think I timed that poorly.
Of gaming. Yeah, man. Your timing was perfect in the fact that I was trying to paint this positive picture and then self-doubt once again rears its ugly head. It's the Sea of Solitude, released on PS4, something really interesting, something that we haven't seen before, which is saying a lot in itself, man. Just back yourself, buddy. Get back up, believe in yourself, and do this.